LSU is officially the number 1 seed in the college football playoffs and will face number 4 Oklahoma in the Peach Bowl semifinal. That'll be in Atlanta, Georgia on December 28th. Kickoff is set for 3 o'clock Central Time on ESPN. The Tigers have opened up as a 10-point favorite over the Sooners, according to Caesars Sportsbook, and the total for the game is set at 75. Here's Ogeron, a part of the Peach Bowl press conference, talking about Oklahoma quarterback Jalen Hurts.
Well, obviously we played against him before. He's an outstanding player, and he actually beat us with his feet. He made some big plays with his feet, and he threw the ball very well. I haven't watched him at all this year, but I have watched him run his offense, especially that counter read. I've asked him about it, and I think they're one of the best in the country at running what they do on offense. They're very difficult to stop.
Yeah, as Ogeron and the players told you after the game, we'll talk about this more, they don't care where they played. They don't care who they played. And it just so happens now that Oklahoma is next on the list. Jordy, we give the playoff committee a lot of flack, and rightfully so when you look at maybe just how it's gone week to week. But the playoff is still a big positive, right? I mean, think about this. This is the first time since 2004 you have 3 undefeated Power 5 teams. I mean, you have 3 just major heavyweights here going into this thing. One of them would have gotten left out in the past. Not this time. Now we get to see it decided on the field.
Following LSU's rout of Georgia 37-10 in the championship game on Saturday, Joe Brady, offensive passing game coordinator, was speaking to the media about his future at LSU.
Is your future here next year?
Absolutely.
Have you spoken to LSU about that?
I'm not going to comment on that stuff. Right now I'm just going to enjoy some time with the guys.
LSU will face Oklahoma on December 28th. The New Orleans Saints lost a wild game in the Dome to the 49ers, 48-46 yesterday. New Orleans definitely lost its grip of the NFC South, NFC race right around the time that Marcus Williams was flagged for yanking on 49ers tight end George Kittle's face mask at the end of a 39-yard catch and run. That was on 4th and 2 that set up the San Francisco 49ers game-winning field goal. Sean Payton yesterday talking about his instant reaction.
Credit San Francisco. They made the plays in the end when they needed to. It was a little surprising to me that it ended up being that type of game. I didn't think it would be. I thought it would be much lower scoring, but that's the direction it went.
One more from Payton.
Listen, you're talking to me right after a tough loss, so are you telling me how I'm supposed to feel? All right, I don't feel encouraged. All right, I feel frustrated because we had opportunities earlier in the game offensively to take advantage of field position. We had a number of opportunities. We had missed assignments, so no, I'm not encouraged that way.
Yeah, that was, I think, trying to look for some silver linings after the game. Look, bottom line, man, how this year has gone, if you put up 46 against that defense at home, how well the Saints defense has played this year, I would have thought it was unfathomable that they lose this game. So credit Garoppolo, Shanahan, whatever. And now, if you're a Saints fan and you really want that 1 seed, you are now a big Russell Wilson and Seattle Seahawk fan as well. Because if everybody were to win out and Seattle wins the NFC West, Jordy, at 13-3 and bumps San Fran down to 13-3, then tiebreakers would go to the Saints. But whatever. There's a lot of football left to play up until that moment.
Seattle beat down on Sunday Night Football by the Rams last night, 28-12.
I didn't watch. I was flying. Damn it. Okay, never mind.
We'll get you some NFL scores coming up here on Off the Bench. The Saints will host the Indianapolis Colts on Monday Night Football in their next time out. Some stats and production from Tigers yesterday in the NFL. As some scores here, the Falcons beat the Panthers 40-20. Eric Reed had 7 solo tackles. Dante Jackson had 4 tackles. Russell Gage had 2 catches for 17 yards, and Deion Jones had 2 solo tackles. Browns beat the Bengals 27-19. Jarvis Landry had 4 catches for 76 yards, while Odell Beckham on the day had 2 catches for 39 yards. Greedy Williams had 4 tackles. Packers beat the Redskins 20-15. Darius Geis 5 carries for 42 yards. Vikings beat the Lions 20-7. Shout out to Daniil Hunter. This coming up in weekend winners by Nick, but Hunter became the youngest player to reach 50 sacks in NFL history as he recorded 3 on Sunday at 7 total tackles, 6 of those solo. Jets beat the Dolphins 22-21. Devon Gacho had a tackle for loss and a solo tackle. The Bucs beat the Colts 38-35. The NFC Rookie of the Month in November had 5 total tackles, did Devin White. Leonard Fournette had 15 carries for 50 yards. He also had 3 catches yesterday as the Chargers beat the Jaguars 45-10.
Not very good.
DJ had 9 catches there. This was a story last week that we missed, but Spencer Ware was re-signed by the Kansas City Chiefs. He was brought back due to a couple of injuries in the backfield, including Darrell Williams, who injured his ankle. He had 5 carries yesterday for the Chiefs for 11 yards. Tyrann Mathieu had 6 tackles as the Chiefs beat the Patriots 23-16.
Tyrann Mathieu playing very good football right now.
As we said, the Rams beat the Seahawks last night 28-12. Michael Brockers had 2 tackles for the Rams, and Al Woods had a solo tackle for the Seahawks.
So this is still looking way ahead, but actually, even with the loss, the point still stands. If the Seahawks were to beat San Fran next time and they win all the other games, they both be 13-3. Seahawks would get the tiebreaker because of the season series. Saints have the tiebreaker of the Seahawks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But like I said, a lot more football to play until then, but that is a potential path back to that 1 seed.
It's all about the playoffs here in Baton Rouge, but around the college football world this weekend, some hires were made over in Oxford. Brett McMurphy announced it first. Lane Kiffin was announced yesterday. 5 years press conference coming up today at 1 o'clock. 5 years, $21 million for Kiffin as he's now in Oxford. Arkansas Athletic Director Hunter Yurachek announced that the school has hired Georgia offensive line coach Sam Pittman as their new head coach. And Missouri is finalizing a deal right now with Aliyah Drinkwitz, who has reached an agreement in principle. Drinkwitz guided Appalachian State to a 12-1 record in the Sun Belt Conference Championship in his first season up in Boone, North Carolina. As if he's named the Missouri head coach, which looks like it's going to happen, he'll be the youngest D1 head coach as he's 36 years old. LSU basketball put 7 players in double figures and scored the most points in the Will Wade era at LSU in a 109-59 win over Northwestern State Sunday afternoon in the Maravich Center. The Tigers are now 7-2, winners of 4 straight, heading into a 10-day semester exam break. Tigers will be back on the floor on December 18th against East Tennessee State University. Will Wade was speaking to the press yesterday after the 7th win of the season.
You know, I thought we played solid. I was a little upset at the end of the first half. We gave up that 7-0 run at the end of the first half. We took a bad shot late in the clock there. Gave them too much time where they threw it in. But disappointed with that. I thought our defense took a little while to get going. I thought our diamond press looked as good as it's looked. And I thought we did a pretty good job contesting shots. And then offensively, even though we scored 52 in the first half, I didn't think we played very well offensively in the first half. I made my thoughts known at halftime. I thought we were a little bit crisper in the second half.
LSU back on the floor December 18th after a takeoff here for final exams. Tigers 7-2 heading into the break. The New Orleans Saints San Francisco 49ers game yesterday featured 24 offensive possessions cumulative for the game that ended in 16 scores of some kind. It was an electric game that the Saints fell a little bit short, 48-46, but a lot to celebrate over the weekend as far as football is concerned. We'll unpack everything. Saints, LSU, Tigers are SEC champs, the number 1 seed, and headed to the college football playoff. We've got sights and sounds coming up here on Off the Bench.